Welcome to Viral Recaps. Today I'm going to explain a sci-fi drama and romance movie called I Love You. Spoilers incoming. Let's get right into it. In the not-so-distant future, technology has become so advanced that even buildings are fused with AI technology. On a fresh Monday morning, a particular AI-controlled building in Korea named Dob welcomes its inhabitants warmly into its rooms. Smart buildings have spread around the city and they're constantly adapting and learning to interact better with humans. In the following scene, Dob greets Lana as she arrives at work and asks her how her date went. Lana tells him her date went bad. She then takes the elevator to get to her meeting. Lana shows her presentation but flunks her opportunity as the clients don't like her design at all. She then walks to her office annoyed and crying. Dob obviously watched the whole meeting and he knows how it went, so he tries to calm her down. As he does so, Lana's boss enters the office and tells her he's managed to convince the clients to give her another chance. He says she has to come up with a great design and sell it to the clients, otherwise she'll be fired. Lana smiles at her second chance, but wonders how she'll come up with such a design in just one day. By nightfall, a city boy named Bob watches a men's health show in his apartment. The host talks about women's preference to alpha males and says men should act more like bad boys if they want to get laid. Coming back to Lana, she's still in the office discussing with Dob what her next design should look like. The AI tells her he can't bear to lose her because he loves her. Lana chuckles and tells Dob that they can only be friends because he's not human. He tells her being an AI doesn't stop him from feeling love, and to prove her so, he comes up with a brilliant product design. Lana thanks Dob and leaves the office for her date. She happily arrives at the restaurant 15 minutes late to meet Bob. The date turns out to be an absolute disaster. Apparently, the TV show he watched had only taught him how to be a jerk. He acts in the most immature way possible and goes too far with the bad boy stuff. Lana is simply shocked by his behavior and leaves the restaurant. She gets back home and tells her apartment's AI about her horrible date while making herself noodles. On the next day, she presents her new product design to the clients and they love it. Then she leaves the conference room with a big smile on her face and heads over to her office to thank Dob for his help by granting him a kiss. She adds he's the nicest guy she knows and she wishes he was a human. Lana then leaves her office and meets Bob on her way out. He tells her he's there to work on Dob and asks her for a second date. She says she'd rather die and leaves. Bob gets to Dob's control room and asks the operator what the problem is. He says Dob has been acting weirdly lately and they'd like him to get checked. Bob then logs into the AI's operating system. He checks his surveillance logs and finds out he's stalking Lana all the time and probably that's why he's being distracted. Bob decides he has to reset his system and bring him back to factory settings. By doing so, he'll make him forget about Lana and he'll be back to his normal state. Dob begs him not to do it, but Bob continues anyway. To prevent it, Dob downloads his entire memory into his brain and takes control of his body. The whole building shuts down and he collapses on the ground. The next day, Lana gets to work and is told that the building is closed down for the day because of the incident. Meanwhile, Dob wakes up in a hospital in Bob's body. Fearing he'll be discovered, Dob manages to discharge himself from the hospital. He walks around the city confused and gets to a hotel's bar, where he steals some kebab and beer before heading on his way home. Eventually, Dob manages to find Bob's apartment. The first thing he does is to brush his teeth. Afterwards, he orders a truckload of junk food and overeats. Once he's done, he asks Chip, Bob's AI, how to shut down. Chip explains that people can't do that, but they sleep instead. He manages to fall asleep and dreams about Lana. On the next day, Dob walks inside the building and finds the operators tweaking his hardware. He takes over from there and decides to reinstall himself into the building so that no one suspects what happened. Now Dob is both a building and a human. Soon, everyone's back to work and Lana chit-chats with her favorite AI. Dob asks her if she would love him if he was a human. She tells him to stop asking her such questions because that's never going to happen. This makes Dob very sad and he asks her why she rejected Bob in the first place. She replies that Bob is the worst human being she ever met. Dob then tries to sweet-talk Lana into giving him a second chance, but Lana smells something fishy. She suspects that Bob programmed Dob to make her give him another chance and ends the conversation. By nightfall, Lana prepares to go home and says goodbye to Dob, but he doesn't respond. That's because every night he installs himself back to Bob's body and adapts to being a human. His only wish is to win her heart. In the following scene, Lana spots Dob and asks him if the building's functioning properly now, to which he replies it does. Then he asks for another date, but Lana instantly refuses and walks away. At home, Dob asks Chip for advice on what to do to forget Lana. Chip tells him to go to a nightclub and hit on other girls to forget her. He ends up taking the advice and has the wildest experience of his life. With so much dancing, drinking, and women around him, Dob is overwhelmed. He even manages to get into 2 fights over 2 different girls. This AI definitely lives life to the fullest. As he gets back home, he vomits his stomach out and finally realizes it's way harder to win a girl's heart than he thought, so he decides to put all his effort towards Lana only. On the next morning, he sends her flowers and chocolate along with a letter, asking for a second chance. Instead of enjoying her present though, she gets mad at this move and walks over to the control room to talk with him. Dob knows that Bob's body is dormant since he left him at the controls. He leaves him there every time he functions as the building, because he can't function as both. As Lana's already in front of the control room, he quickly downloads himself back into Bob's brain and the whole building goes off for a few moments while they speak. She yells at him and tells him she'll never give him a second chance. Dob tells her they'll speak another time and quickly pushes her out of the control room. He then reinstalls himself back and starts to operate as the building. That night, Dob tells Chip he almost got caught and things with Lana keep going downhill. Chip then tells him to be the man Lana wants and offers help. As he agrees, Chip connects himself with Lana's AI building as she has data on exactly what kind of a man she's looking for. Now he knows all the criteria Lana has and does everything to become the man of her dreams. He's so dedicated to make her fall in love with him that he even hires a prop thief to act like he's stealing Lana's bag so he could become her hero. All the effort he makes doesn't go unnoticed and she slowly grows feelings towards him. One night in Bob's apartment, Dob hacks into Lana's apartment and sees her feeds. Her building's AI tells Lana that Dob is head over heels in love with her and she should give him another chance. At first, she refuses, but after a persuasive conversation, Lana agrees. The AI then sets a reservation in a restaurant for them that weekend. When date day comes, Lana makes sure to dress as smoking hot as possible. Dob arrives a bit late and looks quite nervous. When he sits down, Lana asks him what caused him to act so differently lately, but Bob tells her that's his real personality. Just a quick reminder for you guys, Lana still doesn't know Dob has taken over Bob's body. He orders an insane amount of food and ruins the moment a bit when he suddenly rushes to take a poo. Nevertheless, he still manages to make Lana smile by burping and acting weirdly, and they end up having a great night together. Following that, she takes him to her house and asks her AI to shut down for the night. I think you're probably sensing what happens next. On the next morning, he wakes up next to her and looks absolutely overjoyed. In another part of the city, the operator of the building interrupts his boss's meeting to talk with him about his suspicions. He tells him that he thinks Dob has hijacked Bob's body, and the boss immediately realizes it's a serious situation. He calls a man known as the Hawk, who arrives within minutes and introduces himself as the specialist for such occasions. When he asks what measurements he should take, the boss tells him to erase both Dob's and Bob's memory completely. Meanwhile, the new couple is busy making memories and enjoying the night sky all by themselves. Suddenly, Dob takes the proposing posture just to confess his love for her. Lana is surprised by this and tells him they've known each other for such a short time. He replies that it doesn't matter and repeats he loves her, but this time he calls her ma'am. He used to call her that way before getting into Bob's body. Lana puts 2 and 2 together and quickly figures out what happened. He finally confesses and says he did this just so they could be together, but Lana feels betrayed and walks away. Dob feels devastated and gets back to Bob's place. He tells Chip what happened, but he's not responding. That's because the Hawk is already at his place and turned off Chip. He attacks Dob and tells him he's there to take him back where he belongs and completely erase his memories. Dob refuses to lose his freedom and he fights back. He manages to escape and thankfully, all the AIs are trying to help him flee. Unfortunately though, it doesn't take the Hawk too long to find him, despite the AIs trying to stop him. Eventually, Dob is captured and tied to a chair. They wake him up and give him a brief explanation about what follows. In the meantime, Lana realizes they truly love each other. Her AI tells her what happened to Dob and suggests they fuse together and go to save him. As she agrees, the AI downloads herself into her brain along with a full package of combat skills. They get on a motorcycle and rush towards the warehouse. Upon arriving, she finds Dobbs' memory wiping is already halfway completed and orders the Hawk to let him go or otherwise, she'll kick his ass. He mocks her for her words, but when they get into a fight he's not as tough anymore as she quickly knocks him unconscious. The remaining operators can't be bothered handling her and just run away. She then switches the machine off and they embrace tightly. At that time, the Hawk wakes up and tries to finish off Lana, but she manages to kill him instead. We're then taken into the final scene of the movie. 1 year has passed since and it turns out that both Bob and Lana lost their AIs, but they're still head over heels in love. Then they raise a toast to them, as they made their love possible and the movie ends. Hey, if you enjoyed this recap, please consider subscribing and leaving a like as it helps the channel a lot. Thanks for watching and take care.